I was rejected the first time I applied to my Master of Social Work. Okay, this is not referring to me, but an application advisor with MSW Helper. She got rejected the first time she applied to her Master of Social Work, which unfortunately is of common experience. She got rejected despite the fact that she had a decent GPA, a lot of experience, and she even considered herself to be a strong writer. However, the personal statement is different from any other form of writing that you will ever do. So, a lot of applicants make mistakes that make it challenging for the admissions committee to connect their skills, strengths, and experience in a cohesive way that really shows your potential for the field as a social worker. So, in today's video, we're going to be reviewing the top mistakes that Sydney, the application advisor, made the first time she applied to her Master of Social Work, what she did to change it the following year, and how she actually got accepted to the program. Schools of social work often ask about both your experience and a social justice issue. And one of the mistakes that she made was having a lack of cohesiveness between her own experience and goals and the social justice issue that she discussed in her personal statement. She picked a social justice issue that she had heard about in the media that she thought the admissions committee would think was important, instead of talking about something that was connected to her own passions and goals. And what this did is it made her personal statement a little bit discombobulated. She was talking about, her experience over here, a social justice issue that had nothing to do with her actual goals. And it just made it very confusing as to why what her goal specifically was as a social worker. So the next time she applied, she picked a social justice issue that was deeply connected to her actual goal as a social worker. And what this did is it showed a lot of critical thinking skills and potential to contribute to the field in a meaningful way. So when you are writing your personal statement, I really encourage you to talk about a social justice issue that has to do with your actual goals as a social worker. One of the best ways to do this is to really start with your own insights based off of your past experiences. Instead of just picking a social justice issue out of a hat, think about some of those experiences you've had from either your personal, professional, volunteer experiences, and what injustices did you realize from those experiences, and use that to really frame your social justice issue and therefore your goals as a social worker. When you pick a social justice issue that has to do with your actual goals, you make it kind of a no-brainer that the admissions committee is going to accept you to the program, because you show that there is a need for social work in your area of interest, and also that you are the person who is going to be able to address that need. The second mistake she made was talking about her lived experience without connecting it to her goals as a social worker. Many of us pursue the social work field because we have been through personal experiences and hardships that motivate us to pursue social work. When it comes to your personal statement, schools often provide the space for you to discuss those personal experiences. The problem is sometimes applicants make the mistake of simply talking about their personal experiences without connecting it to their goals or their reasoning or their motivation for pursuing social work. And when they do this, it comes off as if they are either trauma dumping or, trying to get brownie points for having lived experience and having been through some difficult things. So, if your lived experience is part of your motivation for pursuing social work, in my opinion, that's extremely valid, and you should be able to talk about it in your personal statement. You just want to make sure that you're being very intentional about why you're sharing it. And I really loved this example. I worked with somebody on their personal statement a few months ago, and they talked about their experience with mental health. And, they didn't just talk about their experience, but they talked about how, like, their cultural experience came into play. And in their culture, mental health is stigmatized. And because of that, it was something that their family couldn't, like, they couldn't talk to their family or community about it. And they had a hard time finding a social worker who understood their unique needs. So that's their personal experience. What they did is they took it a step further and connected it to the big picture and their goals as a social worker. They talked about mental health outcomes for fellow members of their culture and even backed it up with research and talked about how, as a social worker, they can fill a gap in providing culturally relevant mental health services to fellow members of their community. See how that is so much more intentional about like why they're sharing that information and how it truly does connect to their goal as a social worker and how that experience is going to make them an asset in the field. The third mistake that she made was writing what she thought admissions committees wanted to see rather than being authentic and true to herself. The admissions committee wants to see who you really are as a person, and so going back to that social justice issue, she picked that social justice issue because it was something that was high profile and relevant in the media, but it wasn't something that she was actually passionate about. And I think that really showed in her application because she just didn't have that level of like passion and connection to her goals in her personal statement. The admissions committee really wants to see who you are and how you can contribute to the social work field in a meaningful way. You don't need to pick a social justice issue that is like something that is highly relevant. It's okay to pick something, very niche and very small. And sometimes those very unique areas or goals of social work can really stand out in your application. So the next time that she applied to her Master of Social Work, she really took some time to reflect and think about like who she is and what kind of social worker she wants to be and who she wants to support and really what her goals and motivations are, and really used that insight to develop a social justice issue that really aligned with her career goals. The last mistake that she made was she had a lack of alignment and fit with the MSW program that she was applying to. The program that she applied to in particular had a very specific theoretical approach that really like encapsulated the program. And she didn't really take that into consideration as she was tailoring her application. And because of that, she didn't really like talk about or show that her experience goals and motivations aligned with the, you know, outcomes and goals of the program that she was applying to. So the next time she applied, she really took a look at the mission and the values and the specializations that the program that she was applying to offered, and really found that intersection between like who she is and what her goals are and how she is a great fit for the program. So those are the biggest things that she changed from one year to another. And even though she got rejected the first time around, she was really able to self reflect and make some changes, rewrite her personal statement, and she was ultimately successful. And today she is in the Master of Social Work program. I'm a firm believer that writing the personal statement can be really tricky, especially because there is so few resources on how to do it, and it's such a unique document. Sydney herself is a very strong writer, and the fact that someone who is a strong writer with experience and the grades and the skills didn't get accepted the first time around really goes to show that like the personal statement is something that requires a lot of time and energy and really strategy to show the admissions committee who you are, how you are, like how you can make a valuable contribution to the program, and to demonstrate your critical thinking skills. Head to the link in the description for free resources to help you write your personal statement. At MSW Helper, we have free templates, webinars, editing services, blog posts, and even a free community to support you through that process of writing your personal statement.